Hi, this is Kasian, and it's time for a weekly conference call at VectorspaceAI. We'll start with what's happening around the world. There have been corporate mandates for vaccinations, and this is new territory for a lot of companies around the world. It's causing interesting issues for companies. And of course, this will affect the global economy. There's been a crackdown, once again, for the nth time. China has cracked down on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. And to us, that is a non-issue. On the industry side, Andreessen Horowitz has established a $2.6 billion fund. Some are reporting 2.2. I have another report here that says 2.6. But this, at any rate, is a very large fund dedicated to crypto. And it was a confidence move as well for the entire industry to counter the China move. Under themes and events, Eli Lilly has received FDA approval for an Alzheimer's drug. And this particular event represents a single public company as an event where a thematic basket can be generated from that company alone. And then connected to that, any baskets related to Alzheimer's would probably be of interest to anyone on the long side. And then, of course, themes include inflation trades and space ETFs. Under corporate, we are continuing our move into the United States, domiciling here under U.S. legal jurisdiction. We have our law firms looking at this, and we have a few accountants and accounting firms that are connected to the SEC that are preparing the way for us. On the engineering, product, QA, and ops side, we're working on a content summarizer, and this is not something new. We've engaged in summarization for quite some time. In fact, context-controlled summarization, which you will not find most people doing right now. Controlling the context of a summary. And of course, that summarizer, we've noticed a few groups out there, a few of our customers, in fact, have a need for summarizers. So that's why we're advancing that effort. We are also about 90% complete with our S&P data integration, and that would include company profiles and initially OHLC data. We've got tick data and time and sales coming from Morningstar. And engineering is preparing for retail offerings. We're also preparing to extract signals from datasets, as we've noticed customers are asking for signals alone, as opposed to just the datasets. Under customers, partners, and collaborators, we've got the category, our financial markets category, and an update related to S&P would include the fact that they have another alternative data group that has made contact with us. We've made S&P aware of our recent PR related to our new scientific advisory board member and our new Space Biosciences division. And this has piqued interest of quite a number of partners of ours and a few new customers. But S&P is interested as well in what we're doing in Space Biosciences, but would primarily like to talk to us about the dataset side here. And of course, they're connected to the dataset showcasing group over there. So we have a call scheduled with them, with that group, which is going to lead to the integration of our datasets on the S&P side. On the Morningstar side, we've got a demo scheduled. This would be a demo that Morningstar is going to provide us with related to data sources they have, in addition to our demo that we'll be providing them related to thematic basket generation via our data sets. We had a good call with FactSet today, and interestingly, this is not something that we knew before, but FactSet is right there beside Bloomberg terminals in most institutions right now. So they are a pretty important player, you might say, in terms of data sources. for us and distribution networks as well. They also have lots of pharma data, so they were able to display and demo taxonomies related to active compounds that pharma companies are working on. They have essentially relationship networks of these compounds based on the revenue that each compound generates and a few other pieces of metadata. And they also have need for a summarizer. We were also able to demo our thematic basket generator to FactSet, which of course led to a variety of interesting conversation related to future partnerships here on that side. We are also targeting WorldQuant because WorldQuant is an investor in space biosciences. We'd encourage everyone to do a quick Google search on WorldQuant and space biosciences, and you'll find out what they're doing in space biosciences. So we do anticipate a partnership with them on that level, and of course on the dataset level, if it is mutually beneficial. And then we are still under customers, partners, and collaborators, and we'll move to our space biosciences section. We are forming a collaboration with the University of College London, and this would be based on computational biology. One of our collaborators is there, Syra Mian, and she has been working on communication theory as an organizing principle for biology. That, in fact, would be the title of a paper that we'll be collaborating with her on. This will be a peer-reviewed published paper with VectorspaceAI as co-author. Under Space Biosciences, continuing, we are going to be talking with Hexoskin, Hexoskin, in collaboration with Virgin Galactic. And this, of course, is based on our new scientific advisory board that will be reaching out to Hexoskin and forming a collaboration. If you do a Google search on Hexoskin and Virgin Galactic, you can get a pretty good idea of what we'll be doing with datasets and their interpretation and generation and visualization. And then we are in dialogue, finally in dialogue with Azure Space. So we can look forward to advancements in that area as a partner. On the corporate development, business development, sales and marketing side, everything is steady as she goes. On the exchanges side, a few exchanges have been given our PR, including Kraken. So they're reviewing it. Of course, it's not in their wheelhouse, so we expect them to take some time on that. But we do anticipate, outside of that PR, that we will be having S&P contact exchanges to let them know that VXV is required to access datasets for their customers. On the IR, PR, and Marcom side, we have issued our first press release related to our Scientific Advisory Board member, Mina J. Bissell, and her work in space biosciences in conjunction with our work in space biosciences for the last 2 decades, related to a government contract and related to NASA's biological space program. We have more to come. That's just the tip of the iceberg. What you see in that press release describes a network of information and a network of research, a network of commercialization that we'll be engaging in related to space biosciences. And just to reiterate, precision medicine, personalized medicine, and other things, drug targets, therapeutics fall out of space biosciences. So we'll be looking forward to commercialization on those aspects. And then under IR, PR, Marcom, we are going to be announcing to the world our relationship, describing our partnership with Azure Space, and there will likely be more than just a partnership that occurs. So we'll go ahead and make sure everyone's updated on all of our advancements with Azure Space / SpaceX. Next, we'll move to questions from the trader base. Question 1 What are Vectorspace's future plans in the legal tech space? Vectorspace seems to have dabbled in the legal tech space in the past with huge success, as evidenced by its experience with Uber and its huge trade secret case with Waymo, sued for $2.7 billion. Uber ended up with $245 million. Are there any plans to focus more on expanding into legal tech? It seems to me that legal tech could be another way for Vectorspace to generate revenue quickly. Tons of billions of dollar law firms would be interested in on-demand context-controlled datasets that incorporate and analyze legal documents. For example, discovery docs, court options, or court opinions to make it easier to win in court. Yes, this is very prescient. We will be entering the space as a revenue driver. So the legal tech space will be entering as a revenue driver. We have entered that space in the past. We do have knowledge, domain expertise in that area. In fact, our corporate counsel was co-founder with myself related to a legal technology company, and he has vast experience in that area, and in fact runs a couple of legal technology companies, along with a few partners of his in the e-discovery area. It is a little harder than you think with legal tech. There's a lot of privacy issues. They usually use on-premise cloud facilities based on privacy and confidentiality issues. And we will enter that space, we should say re-enter that space with VectorspaceAI as soon as we have a clear path to revenue on that, and as soon as we, of course, meet our targets related to the financial markets and institutions and space biosciences. So that would be the next industry that we would enter. Question 2, any update on the investment club? Well, that's after we clear a few PRs related to S&P, Morningstar, and FactSet. Question 3, can we have a little transparency on the token selling from the team since inception? Absolutely. We raise capital in small tranches as needed, just like any other startup. Question 4, does VXV still have token unlocks? We're seeing many transactions going to and from Disperge.app, which usually is used for token unlocks. We raise capital in small tranches as needed, just like any other startup, as mentioned before. We're not some dingy, scammy crypto out there, so we don't operate like you might expect. We operate like a traditional startup. That means we raise capital. We use that capital to grow a company. And that's also how public companies operate. You raise capital to grow your company and grow your valuation, and that gets returned to stakeholders/shareholders. We can recommend books and other reading materials that help explain how startups work. Let us know. Question 5, as of now, what is the minimum evaluation Vectorspace is, valuation, not evaluation, is looking for in terms of an acquisition offer, considering it may become well known tomorrow with big deals in finance and space biosciences. So what is the minimum valuation Vectorspace is looking for? Well, we have no plans on selling the space biosciences unit. There is no other group in the world qualified to run it. That's one of the reasons why. But we do expect a bidding war on all divisions of Vectorspace. Valuations, we would, of course, look to, or anyone would be able to look to our neighbors in terms of their valuations. You can see that the best way to do that is to understand which public company is going to be floated and what their current valuation is in the data or dataset space. So you can look up any company related to data, and what they go out at would be similar to the valuation that we would have. Question 6, how many of the listed agencies has Vectorspace been in discussion with so far? So listed agencies, I'm assuming this individual is talking about listing agencies or exchanges. So the answer would be just a handful, and the other half of that answer is they'll be knocking on our doors soon enough, along with Andreessen Horowitz and Coinbase. Question 7, regarding genetics, my son has a rare disease, Coffin-Siris syndrome. I read some docs about aerospace damage in genetics. could VXV find interpretation in these kinds of diseases? Its main genetic trouble is their body doesn't gap a protein in several processes. The first thing we'd have to say is that we are not able to provide medical advice. We can refer anyone to an appropriate medical institution. However, we would recommend to take a look at nebula.org, nebula.org. This is a whole genome sequencing company, one of the best in terms of sequencing your DNA, in combination with what's called a Promethease report. A Promethease report. You can do a Google search on that. That's Promethease, a Promethease report. Question 8, a few quick questions. What's the format of the file type datasets are ingested by customers/clients? The recent call notes mention CSV. I'm assuming there's various others. Also, if a client sought a refresh rate greater than 1 minute, can they opt for such a feature or use API calls to enable this? So the most common formats for ingestion of a dataset are CSV across the board. When you look at all of data science and all of ML, all of AI, it is the CSV file, the comma-separated version. Secondarily, it would be the tab-separated version, that's TSV. And thirdly, JSON. And then, of course, there are many other ways to ingest datasets. But those are the three primary ways, the three primary formats. In terms of getting refresh rates or updates under a minute, that, of course, is available for any customized options that a customer would want. That would require an extensive data engineering pipeline in the cloud with, of course, multiple GPUs and so forth. And we would be able to configure that upon request. Question 9, I'm not sure if you have plans to do this, but have you thought about including datasets from court opinions and other documents? Okay, so that question was just answered above, mentioned before. The answer was mentioned before, so we'll move on to question 10. Is there an update regarding GNC using VXV datasets? Well, the update relates to something called nutrigenomics, and that's going to happen when we're ready. We first have to position the company in Space Biosciences with our relationships with Microsoft Azure Space/SpaceX and a few other agencies. The reason for that is we understand that nutrigenomics connects to supplements, connects to an engineered diet, and that, of course, connects to personalized and precision medicine resulting from advances in space biosciences. Question 11, can the team give updates on smart basket developments, thematic basket developments? Dexamethasone was a great case study. Are there others in the works? Every day there are case studies in the works. For example, today, Eli Lilly and the FDA approval of the Alzheimer's drug that they have. Almost every week there's a case study that can be produced related to a thematic basket connected to a global event or an event that relates to U.S. markets. We'd recommend joining the VXV-Thematic Baskets channel at Vectorspace. Question 13, are the datasets generated interoperable? For example, if JP Morgan created their own dataset and BMY Mellon also created their own dataset, in the event of a collaboration between the two, would they have to create a new dataset to pool their already existing information, or could they share their specific pieces of data, perhaps not the whole thing, across their individual datasets, keeping them separate, whilst in turn updating each one with new information and getting new results? The answer is yes. They can keep the datasets separated, or they can combine them. But it's unlikely that they'll be sharing data. That is not very common with institutions. Data is their edge. The data engineering pipeline that they have, that's where they produce most of their edge, not with the algorithms. So sharing data sets is, that way they'd be giving away their edge at that point. So, but it can be done. If they do want to collaborate, have a little kumbaya moment, they can definitely do that with data sets. Question 14, so if we are holders of VXV and the current interface to create thematic baskets is not updated, if I recall correctly, how can we gain access to the updated one? Is that pending? Any ETA? For instance, if I want to track just large M&A activity, how would I utilize VXV tokens to create thematic baskets in real time if the site with the user-friendly interface is not updated? We have plans on updating, and the updating connects to our retail strategy. And we plan to have a retail offering in place in the next week or so. This is pretty important to us. We talked to FactSet about this today, in fact. A retail strategy for us, just like any other company that provides services to the financial markets, is of critical importance. Many of us never knew that this wave of retail traders would occur. We had focused on institutions initially, but we are gearing up to offer retail thematic baskets without watering down what we're offering institutions. So there's a balance that we do have to keep, but this is definitely something that we'll be executing on as it connects to a quick path to revenue as well. And speaking of strategy, we'll move straight to our strategy section here. One thing we'd like to mention, based on our observation and experience with trading vehicles for years and years and years, even before crypto existed, is that there is a fallacy within the crypto markets. We are seeing this all over the place. We're seeing it in China, we're seeing it on US news channels, and this relates to crypto being a currency. Crypto is not a currency. It is a trading vehicle. It's a combination of a junk bond, mixed with a debenture, mixed with a commodity, mixed with a futures contract, mixed with it options, and of course a stock. So when people treat or perceive crypto as a currency, that causes a lot of static and confusion today. It's simply not a currency. It's a trading vehicle. It's like the VIX. If any one of you are familiar with the VIX, would you ever put your family's livelihood, your investments, would you bet the farm on the VIX? Would you take a long-term position in the VIX? Of course not. The VIX is a trading vehicle, just like crypto. And on another note, we'd recommend to keep an eye on what we'll be doing in our partnership with Azure Space and the Biosciences Division and the Bissell Lab at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory related to space biosciences. That concludes our call for this week. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to join us online. Thank you.